When your flight is canceled or significantly delayed, there are a new series of rules that airlines must soon follow. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa spoke with an aviation expert to break down your rights for this holiday travel season.
New federal law and Department of Transportation rules now require no-hassle refunds, upfront baggage fee disclosures, 24/7 customer service, and a ban on family seating fees. Bill McGee, a senior fellow for aviation at American Economic Liberties Project and the author of the book Attention All Passengers, says those new rules surrounding refunds kick in on October 28th of this year, just in time for the holiday travel season.
And they should be here by the Thanksgiving holiday period. And in that case, a significant delay for the first time has been defined by the Department of Transportation as 3 hours for a domestic flight and 6 hours for an international flight.
McGee says cancellations are a little clearer. The Department of Transportation rules say if your flight is canceled for any reason, controllable or not controllable by the airlines, for weather or any factor, and you do not want to continue with the trip, you are entitled to a cash refund.
If you want a voucher, you want to ask for one, that's fine. But the default will be your flight was canceled. You're not going to have to jump through hoops. You're not going to have to contact the airline. You're not going to have to stay on a long line in reservations. You're not going to have to write emails. If your flight is canceled, they will automatically give you cash, or they will be subject to penalties if not.
When it comes to baggage fees, if a checked bag arrives 12 hours or more late for a domestic flight, you are due a refund. For international flights, if baggage arrives 15 to 30 hours late, depending on the length of your flight, you get a refund. And next year, new rules will prohibit all airlines from charging families extra to guarantee a child 13 or younger will sit next to a parent or adult travel partner. Some airlines are already guaranteeing free family seating. With this watch in your wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Well, changing gears, real estate and rental cybercrimes are happening nationwide. According to the FBI, there are nearly 70,000 reported instances of real estate and rental cybercrimes, with over $1.4 billion lost just from 2018 to 2023. Now, one way that scammers are targeting people is by posing as government programs for low-income housing on social media. Right there, that was a PSA about a fraudulent Section 8 housing ad from a scammer using Facebook. People fill out an application thinking that they're getting on a quote wait list or applying to low-income housing. Instead, scammers steal their information to commit fraud. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, experts say to make sure that you don't become the victim of a scam, and make sure that you do your research. If a price seems super low compared to other homes in the area, and then verify that number. Well, the FAA has reached its air traffic controller hiring goals for this year. The FAA announced today it hired more than 1,800 air traffic controllers. That's the largest number of hires in nearly a decade. The big hiring boost marks important progress towards reversing a decades-long decline in air traffic controller staffing. The FAA currently has more than 14,000 air traffic controllers. Well, 8 new emojis are coming to your smartphones and computers. They include an exhausted face with bags under its eyes and a flag for the remote island in the English Channel called Sark. There are also a root vegetable, harp, shovel, and a purple splatter. Now, different operating services like Apple's iOS and Alphabet's Android will put their own spin on the emoji designs. The new emojis will roll out over the next few months and throughout next year. Well, coming up on your news at 4, with flu season approaching, health officials want parents to know about the importance of getting children vaccinated.